use our, we do our CARES money. They can just pay us whether they use their CARES money, if they have any, I don't know.
Right.
It's basically subject to Warren County paying the cap. At some point, it's equipment. So what they want to do is make sure they we are careful that they're recouping their money and their trespass.
And he said,
That's what they said. It's a dedicated system.
I think safety did it for you.
Because I know that you want to.
Oh, that's okay, I'm pretty sure they lost that over.
right here.
Well, yes, there are some things about behind the sand. This is 53,000.
Right.
So whatever those songs are down payment, it don't allow it. So that's what that is. It's just a report I can email just to all you guys who have it.
Yeah.
But I haven't, I was getting ready to.
The only thing.
With the minutes on paper, real quick, so just on the policies.
All right, we'll get underway. We'll have a word of prayer, place the flag. This time.
Lord, thank you for the day that you've given us. Thank you for the blessings. Lord, we pray for our country that you work there. We think of, help us to remember the season and really the reason why we have Christmas. Give us wisdom as we make decisions tonight. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At a moment to review the minutes, the motion.
I'll make the motion.
All right, we'll just go ahead and second it. Ready for the vote, all those in favor? Aye. Votes 2-0. We've got claims 1 through 128, as well as payroll claims. Make a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion. Ready to vote, all those in favor? Votes 2-0. Acknowledgement review of the reconciliation monthly comparison reports. Remember, report of collections, ambulance clerk, health department, recorder, prosecutor, sheriff.
Right, not the prosecutor. Yeah, you might want to mark the prosecutor off. I haven't gotten anything
Not
from him.
prosecutor. Other than that,
You want to go to that next paragraph and take all of that in all in?
I did.
Oh, okay, you did, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just review the acknowledgement of the reconciliation monthly comparison report.
Okay. All motion.
I'll second, ready to vote, all those in favor? Votes 2-0. Department head reports, Rusty's out. Garth's here, Garth. Good evening.
Just a few things, talk to Craig a little bit about, little issues with our floor heat again system, just not producing the heat like it's supposed to. So I reached out to Craig, and we, I got Scott Williams over looking at it. He got a hold of tech support, really didn't get a whole lot of information from him anymore than what he already knew, that there was, we may look at some in the heat exchanger, the orifices where the gas is coming in may not be large enough, so we're looking at enlarging those, maybe that'll help a little bit, but not really sure. So we're waiting on the parts to come in, and then he's gonna look at that and, you know, address that and see what we can come up with. So we're very little heat is in the building right now. I mean, there's some, but not a lot, so working on that right now. The 2018 ambulance, one we've been discussing that went to Andy Moore to be looked at. They did receive all the parts, they put the transmission back in, and they took it for a drive and still make a lot of growling noises out of it. They brought it back, they contacted Ford. Ford told them to, from what I understand, to pull the tranny back out and basically put a pump in it. I don't know detail, that's what they're communicating to my maintenance officer. He informed them that, you know, okay, we're gonna have to speed this up a little bit. We're 6 weeks out with this ambulance, we need that ambulance back. So we're supposed to have an answer tomorrow, hopefully, of where they're at with that. So, we've been holding our own, with those trucks. I mean, the 3 we have now, we've kind of been scheduling PMs in between and been able to handle that, but really need to get that truck back. So we've got some others that need some work on them. So, other than that, we're exceptionally busy, you know, it's been kind of that crazy, you know.
Bunch of runs.
Yeah, we figured out the first 10 days of December, we had 110 runs, which was average about 10 runs a day, and that's about what it's done. So we're not slowed down at all. So I'd like to extend a huge thank you to my people. They have been really resilient with what's, you know, all the runs, dealing with COVID. As we know, our numbers are, we got a lot of positive cases out there, and we're transporting a lot of positive cases. A lot of them out of nursing home. A lot of them repeat people out of the nursing home, but there's a lot of people within our community that we're transporting to as positive COVID. You know, they're concerned, they're not feeling well, they're not sure what they need to do, so they've been calling 911 and transporting, and our people are doing very well, and I like to give them a huge thank you for what they've done.
And the weather's been holding.
Yes, yes, I tell you what, it's been a blessing, luckily, all what they did on the East Coast last week, but other than that, we're doing everything we can to keep 3 ambulances staffed and on the road, so I don't have anything else, if you guys have anything.
Sure does. Quite a pleasure working with you and
Same here, we both have been a pleasure. Both of you.
appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Sure.
Kelly's on.
Okay, Kelly's on
here.
Zoom.
Oh, Kelly, you got anything?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So this morning I went to the council meeting just to request approval to purchase a printer. We're in desperate need of a color printer, like a multi-purpose printer. And I did give Brenda a quote that we had received from ICC Business. That's who we have a maintenance agreement with now with both of our printers. And they've been a really good company to work with. So I'd like to continue with them. So the council had decided that I could pursue this, of course, with your approval. But then again, I have to ask Warren County for 50% of the cost of that. So I called Robin over at Warren County today. She didn't return my call, so I'm going to try again tomorrow. But I just figured I would just ask for approval with you to proceed with that. That's one.
Okay.
And do you want me to go into my other request?
Yes.
Okay, so my other request is the health department needs some redundancy with communication. Last Monday, we were out, our internet and phone service were both out, and we had no way to communicate with anybody. So FirstNet is an option for us. That's something that I would like to also pursue. So purchasing it outright would be about $305 to set up, to do some software installation. And then originally I had wanted to do 8 phones for each of the employees, but I think we can just get by with 4. We would be able to use these. So if Comcast went out, we would be able to forward our calls to FirstNet. They're actually AT&T phones, and we can also use them as hotspots. So if we set up our points of dispensing, wherever in the counties for COVID, distributing COVID vaccine, we wouldn't have to have walkie-talkies because we don't have enough radios for everybody. So this would be a good solution. So it'd be redundancy for the department plus response. So I'd like approval to get those phones. I do have some money in my budget right now that I could get them, but then moving forward, I would need probably some assistance, maybe an additional appropriation from the county to help me pay for a monthly fee on that, because I didn't budget for it.
Yeah, I don't understand. Are we paying for a phone service that we are not getting?
No.
Say that our phones are down and our computer is down, nothing is working. What's causing that?
I think that's true.
Exactly. I don't know. I've called Comcast 3 times this year, and the first time they said, oh, it's the line outside, we'll replace it. Well, we were down that whole day, and that was, early in like March. And then, so then midsummer, we were down again for the better part of the day, and it was the same issue. And so this time when it went down, I was pretty hot when I called them, because I said, if this is a line outside, you've told me, twice already that you had replaced it. So I don't know what the disconnect is. So I went higher up than just the tech that was there. And I guess the tech also had expressed his displeasure.
So the problem is a Comcast problem?
Yeah, they combine telephone and internet on one system instead of having a phone system and an internet system. It's all together. So once Comcast goes down, they lose everything.
And not always. I mean, sometimes we'll be without internet, but we'll still have the phones. So it's just, it's uncommon that both go down. So I actually early on was going to be getting AT&T back, but then when the city of Attica did a sewer replacement down our street, well, I'm assuming it was the city, because the cables to the health department were cut. So that was a big mess, because I called them in March to have AT&T get us phone service just so I would be prepared. And July, so from March until July was when AT&T reached back out to me to say that they could come out and fix the line. Well, I just didn't even know if I wanted that service, because again, it's a hardwired issue, and the FirstNet phones are mobile. So, I wouldn't have that issue. But
Do we have any recourse if we're?
Against the monopoly, like that, maybe, but it's not worth pursuing. I mean, what are they gonna do? They'll give you credit for the days. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
service for 7 days. Here's 7 days off your bill. That doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah, it doesn't. Okay.
So if anybody else has a suggestion for me, that's great. I just need to know how I can still operate, when stuff goes down. I still need something. And I'm open to suggestions and other, alternatives.
We're headed down the right direction to get the mobiles.
But I mean, the city come in.
Especially FirstNet. FirstNet is something that most county employees should be looking at.
I mean, the city come in, tore the sewer line out or whatever, replaced it. I wonder why the city wouldn't have recourse working with AT&T or Comcast or whoever who they disturb.
They can, but still, it's a hard line issue. Like she's talking about with the cell phones. The cell phones, they can take, when they start going to places and do shots and stuff, that phone goes with it. And FirstNet, they have priority over the rest of you guys. So if something starts going down, they get priority to use that phone.
And you expressed this morning that the cost of the phone is $40 a month.
Per phone.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's what she said.
So it's 99 cents to purchase either an iPhone or an Android. And then that's our phones, forever. And then it's $40 per month per phone.
Yeah. So cutting back from 8 to 4 has cost savings.
Yeah.
You should drop in, Comcast, she gets this other.
She will on the phone system, I think. I know she's talking about redundancy. She might keep it, but she'll have the other in case Comcast goes down, and still have the ability to utilize.
And I don't need an answer today. In fact, if you would like, I could have the FirstNet rep come to the next commissioners meeting, just to probably explain the whole process better than I can, if you'd like.
Well, I mean, you gotta have communication. I understand that.
Hey, Craig,
Yes,
Nextel has a cell phone that is also a walkie-talkie.
right.
They went away with it, they brought it back.
Yeah.
That's something maybe that's an option.
I don't know how well it works in our area. I mean, countywide, it's broad. That used to be hot 15, 20 years ago. But,
They brought them back, and that's a good alternative.
The thing with FirstNet is it's a dedicated system to first responders.
Do we have a long-term contract with Comcast?
You have a contract with them, Kelly?
Yes, it's a 3-year contract. I think if actually I could get out of it, they just have to. So what the contract really is that I'm locked into. Well, actually, I locked them into a price for 3 years.
Okay, can you email that to me and then I'll give it to the commissioners and the
Yes.
county attorney to review?
I can do that.
Okay.
all right. What's that? Hold. What was the first request? That was.
To purchase a printer.
Color printer.
Oh, the printer.
Okay.
Okay, if that, I mean, I don't have a problem with the printer, but I mean, she came to the council this morning. It's just contingent upon Warren
Warren
County's.
County's approval of the 50%, correct? And you're going to that meeting Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to accept her request for the printer contingent upon Warren County's.
I'll second.
Hey, ready to vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Vote is 2-0 on the printer.
On the printer. Did you get that, Kelly?
Yes, I heard it. Thank you.
Yes. The other deal, I guess that's it.
On hold.
The other deal's on hold, and I think that was kind of what the council said too, correct?
Yeah, I think so, but I wasn't quite sure what I needed to do next. What do I need to do?
Well, I guess you suggested something about FirstNet coming to maybe
Okay.
do a proposal or something. So if you can start working on getting pricing or something of some of your options.
So I do have those. I have the pricing already.
Okay.
All right, well, first yay, second, wait. A little more information, gotta go from there.
Do you want me to have the FirstNet rep come to a meeting? then on in January?
Except for these guys.
Yeah, we're gonna be here
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
I would think that'd be fine, and if you get your other information together so that the council, is aware of it too, because you had talked about, budgeting and doing additional appropriation. I don't know which fund you were talking about, if it was the local health maintenance or the health trust grant.
Yeah, I haven't, I don't have it in either of my grants to do an additional,
Okay, so it would have to be the health.
yes.
Okay. And I'm sure the council would probably want to be on board with making that decision.
Correct. Yep.
And they meet January 11th.
Okay. So then I would meet with the council first. Would they want to talk to the rep?
They might.
Okay.
I think there's some interest there, what I got this morning.
So I should then do January 11th
Yes,
with the council and then meet with the commissioners afterwards.
yes. It's
Okay.
usually backwards, but I want to make sure the financing is approved, by the.
Yes. That sounds great.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. And everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. All right, Joe?
I talked to the council this morning about the second thing on the COVID money, 53,000. And requested as far as getting message boards. They approved it, one thing, they approved it, I don't know what you got it for. And we can, for the 53,000, 53,048 dollars and 80 cents. We can buy 4 of them, leaving 7,170. If the county was to put in 4,298.85, we could get 5. And I believe they said if we needed to put a little money in extra to get that fixed, we'd do it.
Yeah, Jimmy Lee brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did check with our lawyer. This is from Jacob. Because the request me, what it was, we was asking about the one that they discussed about the payroll.
Yes.
Okay, I'll talk to you about that. And I asked him to clarify, and what it amounts to is the payroll, what the IFA, whoever they keep for, need, is the paperwork for a responders like the EMS, their payroll from October to December, which would add up to the 53,000, whatever. What that is just like some of the other grants they do. It's like a disaster grant. They pay 75, the county pays 25. 25,000, whatever, 25% of it wouldn't actually have to be money. It would be in kind. So what they're talking about is if you prove that you've got from October to December, you've got $53,000 worth of employment or what you paid out, that would go towards your agreement, so we can still use the whole amount on the.
And I do have that information for you, and it's well over that. It's like 77,000, I think.
So really, and if you just come up with the 53 or 54,000, that's all they're worried about is like your match.
And
They're
I just
saying-
did the ambulance. I had Susan pull that, so I just have to enter it in an Excel spreadsheet, and then I'll give it to you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll work on the paperwork on that.
Okay.
And then as far as the sign with the 4-H thing, I asked him about that. I come across one of the sections as far as reimbursement on requests for submitting an anticipation of paying something in 2021.
So it's kind of mixed bag. But I've already talked to Adam about it. He said he'd come back next year and we'll try to do something else different. So,
Okay,
but that's pretty much it on that.
all right.
So that's pretty much on it. Like I say, if I could get approved and we could order 5 of them, what I'll do is I'll get with the company. I'll tell them we want to order 5 and need an invoice, and if we get it invoiced, or we can run the paperwork through before December 31st. Even if we have to write a check ahead of time, we can hold the check. And then once we get, message boards in, we can pay it.
You said they come out of Ohio?
Pardon?
You said they come out of Ohio?
Ohio, yeah.
Where about?
It is.
You don't know where?
I'm not sure where. I can find out.
Sorry. Just curiosity.
Yeah.
Curiosity.
But anyway, like I say, to get 5 of them, the county would have to put in another roughly $4,300, and that could actually come out of the other COVID, the CARES funds.
Oh, really?
So it really wouldn't be coming out of the general fund, it'd be coming out of what we've already got from the CARES Act.
They get 8 signs.
And that would give us 5 message boards that we could use for, like I say, for my office or for the health department, their evening. Really, even law enforcement, whatever. But
Yeah.
it would be a good investment.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
all
better than a
the
billboard.
Yeah,
A lot better than a billboard. Yeah, sure. So you need a motion on that?
I need a motion.
Okay,
I'll make one.
I'll second. There's a vote, all those in favor? Vote is 2-0.
okay, thank you. And I will do the order tomorrow.
Okay.
And when we get the paperwork, I'll get Brenda and hopefully we get all that done for Christmas, whatever.
Very good.
And the other thing is, I think we got that taken care of on my reimbursement for paying.
As far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah, well, once I clicked on that, I assumed it went up there.
I'll check
I
tomorrow.
printed it off and everything
I'll
and
check
have it
tomorrow,
ready
and
to
see,
go.
because they usually send an email back to me when it's been.
I didn't get anything, but I did hit that sign, I typed his name and.
Okay, we should be good then. So other than that, that's all I got.
You know,
Okay.
good work with you. Thank you, Joe. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Anybody else? Not Courtney? Okay. CARES Act relief funds transferred to county general.
And what I'm doing, all those things where it has the $96, $7.34, that is for the part-time person that works in the judge's office that disinfects and whatever. Those were not budgeted items, so this CARES Act money can be reimbursed that or the health department overtime. Other than that, if you'll notice on down the adjustments to credit, it was turned into payroll, and it was thought that the CARES Act was supposed to be paying for these individuals. And after talking to Nancy and my payroll people, I told them, I said, money was budgeted to pay these people out of their line item, and I understand that it's COVID, maybe they were home COVID related. Yes, I need to keep track of that for the IRS, but they are not to be paid by CARES Act. So I got to undo whatever was done. So that is what that section is about. Council understands the adjustments that I'm gonna have to make to put the money back into the county general commissioner's COVID line item. So the 9,500 is just for those few items where I'm gonna reimburse health department, the health fund. I did pay for some things out of there, the $6,700.88. I will be billing, I did bill Warren County for their portion, the $2,300 again, for overtime for another period, and Social Security, and then again, the judge for the $30.
Have you had direct communication with them as far as are they paying it?
Robin?
Yeah.
We did receive a payment not too long ago from them. And I did amend the second and third quarter, and I did bill them for this overtime. And I did submit to them all the IPA reimbursement forms that we sent in for the health trust and the local health maintenance. So just kind of waiting, to hear back, on some of that. So they do have all the documentations that they're needing, to cover themselves and to go after the funds themselves, so that we will get reimbursed for our .3333. And so that will go back into the county general once I receive their reimbursements.
Okay, I need a motion.
I'll make it.
I'll second. Ready to vote? All those in favor? All right, those 2-0.
And the other is just information. At the very beginning, when we did, for the health department, we submitted claims to IPA for the 971.55 and the 207.88 twice. Those were denied because those were the baby formulas that we hadn't used yet. And since the money now is in some of that has been distributed, but the county council and commissioners can, go ahead and reimburse those funds now. And then the other is just kind of notes of where I'm at on certain things haven't really been spent yet, but they will, and they've been approved to do so.
Approved, not purchased.
Yeah, that 138.84.
Carried.
And the 308 was just, I had received the money back, received it in, but I just wanted to note this information so you would know that it's all taken care of. So there's no action needed for that.
Okay.
And that's all that I have. I
Tell her
did,
PC on the copy or on the thing that you sent me. Renew on his contract.
oh, Keller, actually, I did get some information from him, but, I can print it off and hand it out to you. He has recently gotten some departments, at least 10 more computers that he's happened to monitor and update. So he has upped his, it was 3,800 something, so now it's like 4,260, I think, a month, to do the jail, the 911, the courthouse, and the ambulance service. I think the health department kind of has their own.
Well, that'll be better for you guys. I mean, it's close enough to the end of the year. You guys just take care
Well,
of
I
it.
got Paws and Claws that's gonna be coming up too, and I haven't seen anything. I don't know if you two have received anything. I've not heard a word from them, and their contract's at the end of this year. So I just kind of took it off, the agenda. I mean, if you guys want to act on it, that's fine.
Carried over, carried over first of the year.
Okay, all right. The other thing, I did go through my emails because Dudley I was kind of worried that we were taking CARES Act money and then reimbursing the local health maintenance trust and the trust grant. And so my email from State Board of Accounts, if you have a COVID-related cost paid by state grants, you can request reimbursement from the CARES funding through IPA if the expenses are approved, and they were. So down here in this other paragraph, it says if 2 federal grants are involved, you would have to look at the grant agreements with both federal programs to determine how reimbursement should be processed. So I think the concern was, I didn't want to get Joe in trouble, with going after some of his grants, with us getting money from the IPA, the CARES Act, and reimbursing the health trust. But it sounds like from this email that we're safe to reimburse, because from what Kelly was telling me, theirs is an operating grant, and these others, if you get federal grants, no, you can't, work between the two. But I think we will be okay using the CARES Act money to reimburse for trust. I just didn't want anybody to get in trouble, so I wanted to, reach out to State Board of Accounts on that. I just wanted you to be aware of that. The highway department, I don't know if you want to know this, he paid off a grader, $56,000. He did purchase 2 trucks, so.
What kind of truck? Out of curiosity.
I guess that states what it is. So anyway, he's gonna need 291,000, and I told him that's gonna have to go before the council next year because his budget was cut 800 and some thousand, 380 was health insurance, but they really slashed a lot out of his equipment, so, they're gonna have to decide where they're gonna pay for these trucks out of. And I know he had mentioned he needed to buy 2 more, and I told him he really needed to not order anything at this time until the council can decide where they want to pay for these.
So did
right now.
one tandem dump trucks that we got?
Yeah.
So
So
291,000.
did he order, or is this?
Oh, yeah, those are ordered. He had ordered
How
them.
can you order them if you don't know where your money's coming from?
Well, the council had approved his budget, but then
They
the
got cut.
DLGF cut it
800,000.
later on. He didn't know that. He'd already ordered the stuff for next year's budget. So that's how all this went down. And I told the council that they really needed to be creative on helping out the highway department because the revenues aren't what they used to be, and they can't continue to reimburse the county for their health insurance. So that did help, but only 380,000. Now you got almost $400,000 or $500,000. He's got to figure out how am I going to pay for this equipment that I've already committed myself to.
Don't know, we took bids on trucks. In the past. Old times they are changing. All right, well,
So anyway, I just, wanted
Did
to,
you see the attorney shaking his head on the bids?
well, I know I did send to the newspaper the gravel and the tile. So, that will be the second meeting in January. And then I think I give you guys the last updated of the new jail and what funds are still retained at this point. So just for your information.
yeah, I'm lost. How can you buy those trucks and not take bids?
I don't know how he went about getting what he did.
Sounds like he walked over there and said, I won't buy some trucks.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's how they do it. Well, we've been doing it wrong for the last 8 years.
And every other county, yeah. No, I mean, you're supposed to get that out.
All right.
What about the insurance, Brenda, that we talked about the last meeting? I didn't see it on there.
No, it's not on there. I did reach out to Hillary from Keystone, and I did tell her, I said, always in the past, we went by their recommendations for their COBRA rates, and she did talk to us, and she said, yes, that's correct, so we'll go ahead and, go with, whatever they propose.
Okay, so you don't need it.
No, well, she's new, and I think she just thought we needed something. I said, well, we never had it before, but I'll put it on the agenda, so I did. So I took it off since she was able to notify, I just want to make sure that we were covered on
Okay, and you want to touch on this withholdings that are taken,
what do you want to do.
explain what's being held and for who and how much for the record.
Well, the reports I gave you, there's a balance, and I don't know if we're even gonna have to pay this out to that James Char Masonry.
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's got a balance to finish 43,198, but I don't know if there's, no one has communicated to me, and no one has told me if there's a retainage to get, so maybe he hasn't completed something, I don't know. I always wait for Kettle Hut or BLZ to send me notification. They'll send me this, plus a detail of their invoicing and everything, and then I will contact Old National to release funds. Glasgow, again, there is a balance to finish. They quit, so there is some retainage, but until guidance from the county attorney, those funds will not be released, 145,000. So those are the only two that have funds left over to be distributed, if they're worthy to distribute. I haven't heard from Calvet or PLC
So there's $10,549.50 of work still to be done through Buster.
Well,
And I think
I
part
don't
of that
know.
was stuff that Scotty picked up.
yeah, Scott did
Okay.
do about 10,000, the TVs, he had to
Yes.
give them higher or something. I don't know about the masonry work.
I don't either.
I have no
I'm
idea.
kind
That's the first I heard.
And maybe the job didn't cost as much as what they bid, but I don't know. So that's all I have. I just wanted to give that information to you, so you have that.
all right, no, that's it. We've got a drainage meeting following. Be here, we'll have a couple minutes. And that's it. Merry Christmas, everybody.
You could have done a wonderful job keeping our taxpayer money under control.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can you repeat that while I'm recording?
As soon as they're ready for me.
Well,
Tony just told him how long it was gonna take. He said about 5 minutes, just get up there, get it done.
Yeah.
well, whenever you're ready, I can start you.
Yeah, rough.
All right, Roger.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's how I work.
I thought you and I were friends, Joe. That's not wrong, no?
Yeah.
You can avoid it.
Well, I'll keep you safe.
Have I met you before?
I think so.
All right.
If not, it's good to meet you.
Oh, I'm gonna miss you. Green.
Boy, I too. I have dreams about it.
You can always come over. You don't have to miss him.
Well, since last time we met, we've done a lot of work on the drains. That's why I gave you a lot of maps so you guys can visually see where we are on drains.
Do you need some pens, Diana?
Huh?
Do you need some pens?
I saw that you cleaned the board. I'm ready for some new maps for you guys. Brenda, you're fine.
This is a lot of material for you to go through in 5 minutes.
Taking me 5 minutes to get things handled
I'm a
down.
little worried here.
Watch and learn.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll keep it. All right, commissioners. So we started with the drains, remember about a year ago, we said, okay, we need to do something with these drains. They've been sitting idle for almost ever, okay? So what we started with this old map. And as you can see, everything is squared, and the reason for that is because back then when they did these drains, they looked at them and they're like, yeah, it's bisected here by the road, and this is John's farm, it ends right here, and that's how they do these drains. They kind of kept the whole topography in perspective, but really they followed straight lines. That's why you see all these are very straight line drains. The colored map I have here in front of you has an overlay of that old drain map on there, but it has also the new technology that we create using LiDAR to run what the new drains look like, okay? So I'm gonna start up north, just as a quick example. You see the Hughes and the Tuggle drain. The Tuggle drain is the new drain that we're proposing on putting together. And if you look at this sheets that I gave you right here, all right, there's a blow up of that. You can see that the Hughes drain, again, was the old black blocks. And with today's technology and today's LiDAR, you can see that that's the new orange or red, whichever way you see that. I see it as orange drain. So what happens now, as we've previously discussed, we're going to compare the taxation parcels, and I usually get those from Brenda. I will say, hey, Brenda, I'm ready for Hughes. I need the taxation parcels that you guys have been using for the last 20, 30 years or whatever it is. She gives me a list of it. I compare it to the new overlay that I create. And as you can see, for instance, right here, you're gonna have some areas that are gonna fall out of the use taxation, but then they're gonna gain some other areas where the new data shows that the drain is actually outside of where you thought it was, okay? I do not know, generally speaking, how that's gonna shake up when you put all the drains together. It may be a net zero gain, but definitely there's gonna be some adjustment where some people have been paying taxes that they really shouldn't have paid taxes, and some people that have never paid taxes and they really should have been paying taxes. So we're gonna work on adjusting those and presenting them to the board and have a vote hopefully on moving forward with each one of those drains, okay? So now this is an interesting little map here, and the reason I brought that is just to show you how very little variations can make a huge difference in a drain. This is a huge drain also, and you can see that brown is really that orange that you see right there. They're exactly similar, but the extra green down here, all that extra green here is added to the drain by simply moving the outlet from a grassway to a waterway. Okay? The brown hues drain right now shows an outlet at a grassway. There's a grassway right there, and that's where historically it says that the outlet is right here. The outlets into the grassway. We went and did an investigation. We talked to the farmer in that area. It never outletted onto the grassway. There was a tile that went under the grassway and continued all the way across into Mr. Tuggle's cattle area, and it outletted into the ditch. So historical information tells us that it went into the grassway. So this is the basis for the historical information. But when you go into the field and we verified it and we walked down to the ditch and we saw where the actual 24-inch plate tile came out into the ditch, we said, all right, this is really where the outlet is. And obviously somebody had paid money over the years to fix that tile that is underground. When we run it that way, you can see how much additional area we gain through running it to the right point. This is where legalities come into play, because now we're playing games with new technology. We know where the outlet is. We have the historical information where the drain used to be. It was accepted by commissioners 40, 50, 60 years ago, 100 years ago sometimes, that was the legal drain, but we know that that's not the legal drain because the outlet is not where it says it is. So now with the new technology, we're adding all this additional, and that's where we're gonna need a little bit of guidance from legal that says, yes, this is allowed. We can continue to do that. That is legal based on the science you're providing us today. We can do that. Just because, the science wasn't available back then, and somebody said, let's say it's right here, and that's how they moved along with it. All right? This is the reason I brought this, just to show you guys. All right? And then this package here that has a bunch of them, and they're all just blowouts of what I have on the big map. We can look at the big map very quickly, and you can see the Wilson-Nixon drain up there. It crosses over to the next county, so this is a combined county drain. The old historical documents just drew a line right along the county line for Font County and ignored the rest of it. So actually, we capture a lot of acreage from the next county over. The same thing, if you look at the Edwards Got, Dry Run, and Rusk, those were, Edward Got and Rusk were two separate drains. Once we did the modeling, we found out that really they're both combined into one drain, because they're both out in the same location, and once you pick that location, that is where it just combines the two drains. So again, this is the legality thing, not a big deal, but maybe it will be called the Edward Got Rusk drain rather than the Edward Got and the Rusk drain. It's a net zero for the county. We'll still tax the people that are within that drain. And then we have down in the southeast corner, that cluster of the Hessler, Moffett, McDonald, Owen, Thomas, and Long drains. And you can see that, the Hessler drain is a little bit smaller than what we thought it used to be. The Moffett drain is about right. The Long drain is about right. McDonald, Owen, somebody took a pencil and drew a circle around there. You can see it was even added later on by hand. And we modeled it, it's pretty darn close, so whoever did it knew what the heck they were doing. So we're just gonna clean all these up, basically, and create these new drains that we can present to the board and say, hey, guys, here's where we are. The Tuggle drain, let me take, two drains we did some field work on, this past season. One was the long drain, went out there, that's the one we hired Darrell Bell to fix a 24-inch clay tile that was broken.
5 minutes are up.
Great. Joe, thank you for remaining. We hired Bell. He dug the 24-inch out where it was broken. He fixed it. And then he cleared the top of the drain all the way down to the outlet. And as he cleared it, we started investigating. I started looking at the drain and I find a bunch of potholes going down that drain. So we know, we're gonna have additional problems coming along that. But the nice thing about it, it was so wooded, you couldn't even see your finger through the wooded areas. Now it's nice and clean as it was meant to be. So that will help us in the future for maintenance and continue. That's one of the things I want to put in front of the board and in front of the commissioners is that we have the funds. I really want to start a maintenance program. And it's almost like, I'll just let you know that we're doing it and just do it, because those drains have to be maintained. They are so overgrown in certain places. I mean, the tile has shifted because of the root balls. And that should
How
have
long
been.
did Darrell work on that to repair?
2 days. I think it was about 2 days. The first day was the repair of the tile, and the second day, maybe 3. Greg, maybe 3, because he came back and he did all the chomping of the wood chips and all that. But when he was doing that, I surveyed that drain. I surveyed the topography, and I have a preliminary design to reconfigure the swale that goes out to the outlet. And then at the head wall, it's blowing through the head wall. We need to fix that so we don't have to replace the head wall and pay that much more money to put a new head wall in. So, again, I'll put something in front of the commissioners and you guys can vote on it and then move forward. My recommendation, obviously, these have been in such disrepair that we really need to do something. We can't just keep watching them for the next 10 years.
You're right.
Yeah. On the Tuggle drain, excuse me. I told you guys that we're gonna go do some field investigations on the Tuggle drain. There are 2 branches to the Tuggle drain. There's the east branch and the west branch. I started on the east branch all the way up by the road and followed it. We found out that really the way it is mapped historically is incorrect. It shows that the Tuggle drain goes under a large mound. It's a sizable mound out in the middle of the field.
That's on the south, that's on the south.
Uh-huh.
You can see it from 28 looking south.
That's correct.
That's a big.
That is correct. What we did is I took the alignment and I followed it and I started doing potholing, and I would find the tile, I would cut it, I would investigate it, make sure it was clean and running, and then I would repair it and move on, so on, so forth, until I got to a point where heading south toward the mound, there was no more tile. And then on the south side of the mound where the tile was supposed to continue, there was no tile. So we know that what was mapped and what reality was are 2 different things. So we started chasing the tile now to the west, and I continued to find it in the field until we got to a waterway. We found 2 tiles in a waterway. It was supposed to be 1. There's a 10-inch and a 12-inch parallel to each other. I mapped all that. I went to the western part of Tuggle. There's a large, very long waterway that I started 2 potholes in it. I found the tiles in both places. They were both clean. They were in good shape, so I had no reason to think there was anything gone. Upstream from that, anything was bad because the tile where I cut it had been very clean and running. But downstream from there, going to where the old cemetery is, from that point, from the cemetery all the way out to the outlet is in very bad shape. So the Tuggle drain, my next task on it is to put together a cost estimate that shows you what the repair is from where I believe that the tiles are good all the way to the outlet. And I'll present that and then we'll go from there.
Everybody that was involved in that drain has been notified.
Well, remember, the only reason we were able to push that petition forward was because we got more than 50% interest, and then the farmers came in, they signed up, and the gentleman from the golf course came and said, I don't drain on that. You remember, he was sitting here and
Yeah.
saying, well, it doesn't matter if you don't think you drain on it or not.
You do.
If you're in our area, you're gonna be included, right? Whether you like it or not.
Right.
But we had enough at the time, Ken Minette felt, and I felt, that we were good to push forward, and we pushed forward. That's why we allowed Mr. Tuttle to, do that, and then we spent the money we did going out there and seeing, what do we have on the ground? We have no idea what we have on the ground. We have a better idea now what we have. All right, the rest of it is really all the details for all these drains. I just want to show you that we have been working on these guys, just because I don't come every week and just hammer at you. It's better to just come in once and just say, here's where we are. We still have a lot more work to do. My next task, I will be coming back up here, meeting with Brenda. I'll bring Allison with me. We need to go through all these boxes of files and see what drains we have. There's a lot of drains like the Novel drain. We just know it exists, but we have nothing on it. The Remster drain, the Foxworthy drain, I know that's a good drain, but where's the info? So we have to mine all that information, steal it from you, scan it, and bring it back. Cool. Yeah.
I see of your areas that you're doing, your line, those areas that's in the floodplain areas, does that affect our floodplain area?
No, when you go to the Allen and to the Hahn drains, those actually do fall in floodplain areas, but they're still considered legal drains because they are open ditches. And when it floods and it backflows, it just holds the drain until it just comes back out and drains everything back out. It's still part of the legal drain. It has zero impact on, in all things considered, when you're looking at the Wabash River and what's coming down a 12-inch or a 24-inch pipe, it's not. It's just, it backs up our drains really until the Wabash goes down, and then it drains as it goes. So the impact is very minimal on the elevation, of the water elevation of a floodplain, a 100-year floodplain. What else did I have? I think that's pretty much, I just want to give you an update where we are. We're continuing to move forward. At some point, Brenda, I think we should look at the financials on each one of those drains so we don't overrun any of them or overspend any of them.
Okay.
And then decide with the new board, which way we want to go as far as, okay, these have money in them, let's spend them and fix what we have.
And I know that's always been my concern, when I came in as auditor, there's no guidance on, well, you need to quit collecting when it reaches, blah, blah, blah. But yet people were doing work on their drains and not telling the county commissioners. And therefore you not having a good record when you came in and we started contracting with you. So yeah, a lot of that's been cleaned up, and I do appreciate what you do when I get the phone calls and you do reach out and camera copy me on, is this in a,
In a
county
legal
drain,
drain,
not, so.
I've been getting a lot of those calls, and I
I know
assume
you-
you're sending them my
I am,
way,
yeah.
they're doing a lot of NDOT work, and
Yeah.
some of them are within drains, but they send me their design sheets, I look through them.
Because I'm just guessing when I'm looking, I'm like, well, it's kind of close, and I just don't feel like I have the expertise to
Yeah.
answer.
No,
their
that's,
questions.
that's why we pay us, just send them
Okay.
to me, I'll take care of it. But yeah, I think honestly, we have to look at the financials and then start spending some of the money, at least on the maintenance of these drains. Some of these drains are gonna require a lot more than maintenance, but we'll address that as we go along. Now, with the two outgoing commissioners, are we gonna create a new board with the new commissioners, or are we gonna create a board that's separate from the commissioners? I mean, I know like Montgomery County has a commissioner on the board, but not,
And I know Kent had mentioned that before, what is the county thinking about doing? And I said, I have no idea, because no one's really, said anything. I know the concern can be that it's hard getting people to get on boards. And that's why I think a lot of times the commissioners are the board.
Yeah. Well, that's something, if you're okay, I can approach Kent with it and have some discussions on it.
Okay.
I think it would be very valuable for the county to have a board that is not just the commissioners, but have the commissioners on it. Some outgoing commissioners could be on that board, you know, some citizens could be on that board. Anybody could be on there that, you know, has interest in helping.
Right.
I don't think it's a problem getting anybody on the board, especially if they're farmers.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
farmers.
they'll jump right on
Oh,
there.
absolutely. I mean, some of the farmers are very valuable too. Do
I don't know if he signs it.
This one.
you have any questions for me?
I do not.
You good?
It's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you, Sam.
Appreciate you.
Brenda, you good?
Yeah.
How'd that go, my 5 minutes?
You're about 5